Now, when you talk about purpose today, it often sounds very fashionable. You find it on websites, pitch decks, everywhere. Social media, people are talking about purpose. And it's very interesting that even when we accomplish certain goals, we are always hashtagging purpose, the hashtag purpose. It sounds very fashionable, but it wasn't meant for decoration. Purpose is direction. Now, in a world that is too noisy, purpose is focus. In a competitive world, purpose is direction. Now, as we delve into this topic, as I said, it's very close to my heart. And I hope that we get to understand first what purpose really means. Now, when I go back to my search for purpose, the first time I heard about purpose was from one Miles Monroe. And I heard him say that the biggest tragedy in life is not death, but he actually said that it is a lie without purpose. So for a minute, I paused and wondered, how important then is this purpose? So I began a lot of research in this area just to understand really, what does purpose mean? And what does it mean to live a life of purpose? So over time, I have read books, I have thought through, I have just sat to listen in and receive convictions on what purpose is. I've spoken to people who understand this topic. And the definition of purpose is that purpose is not what you do. It is what happens to other people when you do what you do. Let me pause for a minute so that sinks in. That purpose is what happens to other people when you do what you do. So it's about impact. It's about impact to other people. At the center of purpose is other people. Now, with that understanding, would then want to see what does purpose mean at an individual level, but also at a corporate level, because even businesses have purpose. So at an individual level, purpose is really direction. And in a world that's full of competition, where I see my friends focused on this business, and we feel like that's the area we should also focus on, or you see this area looks like is really working, and you feel like that's what we should focus on, then purpose for you is differentiation, because it differentiates you. It separates you to what you're really meant to do. Now, the world has made it look like we're meant for mere survival. But the truth is, we are meant for so much more. Now, from time to time, you've probably wondered, why do you exist? And most leaders and people that I coach or I meet every day have asked this question once or twice in your life. Why do you really exist? But also, what are you meant to solve? What problem are you meant to solve? What also do you owe this generation? Because you were born in this generation and not in the 20s or the 1930s. You were born in this specific generation. So then you have something for this generation. But the question has always been, what is that thing? And so as we discuss why purpose matters now more than before, because that question keeps coming up in our minds from time to time, in conversations from time to time, even as we navigate life, as we go about our businesses, our careers. What really is your purpose? And so one of the key things that I must mention is that there is always something that makes you angry. You know those things that you look at and they make you angry, and other people cannot understand why you're angry. It does not affect them, but it does to you. Now that is one mark to show your area of purpose. But also, it would be important for me to mention that the manufacturer knows better. If I'm talking about this phone today, the best person to give me the manual or the best place where I would find details on this phone is from the manufacturer, who in this case would be Apple. So then it's also a call to the creator to understand better why you are created for such a time as this. That's at an individual level. And it's only when we are acting in our purpose or aligned to our purpose that we find true fulfillment. Now, I get to meet lots of business leaders and great people. And I'm a coach as well. Now, I get to meet them from time to time, either from a business perspective or from a coaching perspective. And there are conversations we have with most of them. And I remember this time when I met a very successful, as per the world standards, business lady. Now, she has everything that we'd be looking for. I won't tell you what I drive today, but I would love to have a proper Mercedes. I love a GLE to be specific. And she's driving even a better car. She lives in a better house. She has a proper family and everything that you would think is success. But then from our conversation, she was very clear that after achieving all these things, and is this all there is? And so this gets us to the question that after we have achieved all that we thought is success, then there's always a question. Is this all there is? Because success without purpose or purposeless success cannot nourish the soul. It's only when you're aligned to your purpose that you find true fulfillment. Now, when it comes to businesses too have a purpose and must also be clear on their why they exist. Now, when I look at the African market, most of our businesses are born out of necessity. They are born out of a need to survive, a need to pay bills, to pay school fees, to give a better life to our families, which is okay. There's no problem with that. But then if we're talking about longevity or long-term sustainability, then that is only born from purpose and has to be intentional. Now, I have met a lot of business owners over time who keep asking me, now, the reason I opened this business is because I wanted to run away from poverty. Now, that has happened over time. So I'm not sure what becomes of this business moving forward. And I remember one of them was very clear that we have made money over time. My children have been to the best of schools. Can we get someone who can buy off this business? Because the purpose was too short-termed. And it was not built around long-term impacts. It was built around short-term solutions. Now, that's why I'm very keen on businesses having clarity of their purpose. Why does your business exist? But also, what value are you adding, and what would the world be missing out if you never existed? Now, those are key questions that we must ask as business leaders and business founders, so that we are not just in the business of running businesses or just in the business of opening a business simply because we thought it is too profitable compared to the other, or our friends are doing better in this industry than the other. But we open them because we have clarity of our why, and what we seek to address, the problem we seek to resolve, the value we are adding, and why we exist. Now, one of the reasons why our businesses have a challenge transitioning to the next generation is because we do not transition money to the next generation. Maybe not well. But what we transition is purpose, is values. Because when you're clear on those areas, then transitioning to the next generation becomes easier and becomes easy for them to take up. Now, what has been happening over time, we transition sometimes just the money we have built over time. And before long, the next generation maybe squanders the money we have built or the wealth. If we transition purpose, the why that business exists, then it becomes clear to the next generation that this is why this business existed in the first place. And this is what we are focusing on and we are building over time. And in a world and a market that keeps changing, especially the African market, we're talking about a market that is extremely volatile and uncertain. It has to be the African market. Now, in such a market, purpose is the anchor. It is what keeps businesses anchored or businesses clear on why we continue to do what we do. So it's a call to all of us that even as we look at long-term businesses, to ensure that our purpose is very clear. And it's not built on survival, where we're saying that we want to run away from poverty or those narratives. It's built on a long-term purpose, a long-term why that you can transition from a generation to the other. When I look at ECG, the business that I run, our purpose is very clear, that we're not just creating strategic plans for businesses. We are not just training businesses. We are looking into growing and transforming businesses into long-term businesses in the African market, and businesses that can run with or without the founder. So even as we do the things that we do on a daily basis, the goal or purpose is to ensure that these businesses last beyond the first generation. Because what does that mean for Africa? It means more employment. It means that we have security for our people even in the future. It means that what has been built over time can be sustained. Because what has happened over the years is that founders build a business to a certain level, and instead of the next generation picking it up and moving it to the next level, unfortunately, those businesses die and we have to start off again. And so, what's the purpose for your business? Now, purpose is what turns a hustle into an institution. Now, purpose-led businesses make clearer decisions. They're able to attract more aligned people. Now, these businesses can actually survive leadership transitions. And so I know we are wondering then, where is the place of profit? Now, profit tells us whether we are winning today. But purpose tells us whether we'll still be existing in the future.